The YNW Melly murder trial had a motion hearing today which had Detective Moretti on the stand the entire time. Moretti is asked about how he conducts his search warrants with social media companies, how he goes through all the data, and a few mistakes he made along the way. Moretti talks about how he messed up a warrant regarding Melly's cell phone because Melly apparently bought a new phone 3 days after the murders, which I didn't really even know about. I don't know how I missed that detail, or I guess I forgot, but Moretti had to do another warrant regarding Melly's phone. This gets pretty interesting today. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. Let's go into this, boys.
It is the affidavit and search warrant for the iCloud. When you go through and you evaluate the evidence in the case, you determine, because it's your case, you should know what's going on in it. So you can determine what's applicable to the case and which is not.
Okay, so wouldn't that be exactly the same as if you just said, I want all these records and I will just determine what I want to use?
No, some of the evidence that comes in, we can't, to a certain extent, we can't control what everything Apple is going to give us. We give them a warrant, we give them what we're looking for, but sometimes they may send us a lot of unusable data. And so we discard it. We still save it as a part of discovery, so we're not trying to hide anything from the defense. But we give them, but we only use what is applicable to our case. What happens is when the actual original documents come in from Apple, it comes in as a zip file. After you decrypt it, it's a zip file. You have to unzip it. So that right there is your data. That file it remains the same. When I turn it over to discovery, that is what I turn over because I give everything to the state. So there's no accusations of withholding exculpatory evidence, anything like that. Then there's the working file that I work with. Then from from what I'm working with, if there's any evidence obtained, that is what then I give to the state as well. I never touch the actual original. We work off of what we take out of what we use.
Okay, where does that work out?
It's all in the file when we turn it over.
Who did you turn it over to?
It's turned over to the state.
Okay, so you turned over both sets?
No, if we turn over one file, then whatever is what we use, it's annotated in the documents, the reports, the search warrants. Whatever evidence that we got from this, it's annotated in there.
In the final report, yes. And when did you do this? First of all, when did you get the material from Apple?
I would have to see the file from the state. I don't have that access to any records.
You did not use everything that was in these records?
Correct.
And because some of these records have no relevancy to the case?
Yes, that's correct.
And so therefore, they were innocent or not in that document?
Correct.
And nowhere along the line do we know until we read your final report what you decided to use, as opposed to what you determined to be innocent or you cannot use.
That is correct.
I guess we're trying to make sure that he didn't not give over something to the state. Something that could be in favor of Melly or not in favor. Like, they're really scrutinizing his practices and the way he handles search warrants and the affidavits that they're talking about right now.
Or unusable.
Yeah, I just believe in turning everything over because I don't want to be accused of withholding exculpatory evidence.
Yeah, basically what I just said. He doesn't want to be accused of withholding exculpatory evidence towards Melly.
Cell sites used by Demons, Withers, Williams, and Thomas. Shows the time he arrived in Sunset Lakes. It shows the cell site data places Demons and the other 4 out there on US 27 at a specific time.
Do you annotate in your report what was relevant and what was innocuous?
No, sir.
Did you just annotate what was relevant, or just say I got this from such and such a search?
Correct.
The latter part.
The latter part. This is a search warrant was issued in regards to this case. This is the information I obtained from said search warrant.
Okay, so that would be the ultimate sorting that you did pursuant to that warrant.
Yes, sir.
So he basically said he didn't touch any of the reports or anything from T-Mobile right there, or any of the phone companies they use, whatever.
You were able to, you essentially look at everything to determine whether it was relevant to the investigation or not.
Correct.
And if it was not relevant to the investigation, you, in essence, put it aside because you knew you weren't going to be using that information.
I just disregarded it.
Does your report reflect what you did find to be relevant and useful from that return?
Yes, sir.
And that's spelled out, but that's integrated in your report.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I understand they're trying to scrutinize this cell record shit, but I don't think he did anything to these cell records. I remember they said that there was something that was altered in them, and it was just notes, apparently, I believe. Unless they changed, like, the actual data, then I don't really think it was altered, but they just saw notes on there, I think, so.
What am I reading?
Well, he's, like, talking to himself. Y'all see that?
Yes.
Others? Number 3.
Was he praying? What was going on there?
The search warrant and affidavit for the Snapchat account of Melly.Montana.
Where is Mr. Demons mentioned?
Search warrant was obtained on the cell sites used by Demons, Weathers, Williams, and Thomas. Cell site warrant for the cell phones of Demons and Thomas revealed they traveled north on 84th towards Pine Boulevard, and then turned west on Pine Boulevard. The cell phone records will show that Demons was mobile from 320 to 403 on 1026. When we get a cell site report, the call detail records. The call detail records that we get from the search warrant from T-Mobile comes into 3 different responses that they give us. They give us the CDR, the call detail records with cell sites, a report called a data report. So anytime the phone is using data, the data report shows that the phone was using data, at that time, and so we know that there was something going on with the phone, some sort of communications. The phone was in use. We don't know what because the data report doesn't tell us what specifically being used. The reason that this warrant was based upon what Don Tavius Withers originally told us, which was a recorded conversation, that they pulled off the road on I-75 so Mr. Demons could utilize the bathroom.
So you learned that was false.
We did learn that was false afterwards, yes.
So Withers said that Melly had a Snapchat.
Withers stated via recording statement he was communicating with Devin via Snapchat on the night in question just prior to the incident.
You had no knowledge whatsoever that there was any Snapchat used by Mr. Devin's phone whatsoever before that time or after that time, correct?
Correct.
And you artificially or arbitrarily just decided on October 1st and November 25th.
Yes.
Why did you write 10 months?
Well, beginning of the month, because the homicide happened on 10/26. So I was going at the beginning of the month, so I think it basically looked like I was just going for 2 months of communications.
So his defense team doesn't like that he got 2 months of communications from Melly's Snapchat. They don't want a lot of unnecessary shit in this trial. His defense team has obviously had an issue with a lot of stuff that they think is like irrelevant to the case, like before the shootings and way after.
In your training experience, are date ranges requested in order to establish who the primary user of the account is?
Yes, sir.
Is it sometimes argued or alleged that other people use or have access to accounts?
Yes, sir.
And the one thing that you would want to know is if someone is alleged to have used an account, that they are in fact the primary user of the account who is in control of it, both before and after the time period in question.
Yes, sir. We would call it history of life.
Israel pattern of life?
Pattern of life.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Did you write any of that in the warrant?
No, sir.
He said, did you write any of that in the warrant? No. I mean, this is a defense team just nitpicking something.
Geofence is it's a type of warrant in which we put a virtual perimeter around a known location. And then we serve it to Google, and Google in return will return with devices, anonymized devices, in that area. It's very accurate. It's been used in law enforcement for quite some time. A time frame of 3:50 a.m. through 4:35, and the response was there was no devices out there.
Where was there?
The front seat. However, if you have Apple devices using an Android type app, i.e. Google, with location data turned on, then yes, you could potentially be picked up in the geofence device.
So yeah, everyone had iPhones, I'm sure, so they wouldn't show up really.
It was better for Android, but doesn't mean that we're only going to capture Android. We can capture Apple devices using Android applications, which the most common Android application is Google.
The geofence is essentially a modern day tower dump.
Yeah, in essence, it is a modern day tower dump. However, I believe, in my opinion, that Google goes to greater lengths of protecting an individual's privacy more than with a tower dump. Because when we execute a tower dump warrant, we're going to read exactly the cell phone numbers.
So geofence is something Google does where they have a general area, tell you any device that was in that area, but it's like small. I think it's like a football field or something. Like, it's not very big.
If Mr. Devins had a Google account, then it would have shown up in that geofence, correct?
No.
But you said that they can detect the Google account.
Well, what we said was, if they have a Google account with location service turned on, we know that after the search warrant I did on the defendant's Gmail account, I knew his location service was turned on.
Ooh, that was a good reply from Moretti right there.
You were using this as an investigative tool.
It is investigative service. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, the dude was just doing his job, being a detective, trying to look at a general area to see if any device was there at a certain time.
The search warrant for the Facebook accounts of the two defendants in this case.
Just you were seeking everything you could associated with Mr. Devins.
No, sir. We know that there was a lot of communications that night, and we know it was done over social media platforms. So I had to see all forms of communication.
When you wrote the affidavit, you had no information or evidence that Facebook would contain any information valuable to you in the investigation.
No, just that the social media platforms were in use. What extent conversations were I.
His defense team is really picking apart if he knew information before the search warrant, but that's like the whole point of the search warrant, right? Find out new information.
Why did you need information going back to the beginning of his Facebook account?
So that was purely a administrative error on my behalf. I should have put a date time in there.
Oh, see, that's sketchy. He did an entire Facebook dump of his whole Facebook account. That's sketchy. He's saying that's an error, but I guarantee he did that shit on purpose. He probably wanted to see shit for years just to get the gang shit. He was already thinking about doing death penalty, dude.
Methods of communication were used as a CDR called detailed records, made reference to service type of data only. So we know that there was data being used at that night, just not what data.
Oh, so they could see he was using data from T-Mobile, so they knew something was going on. Yeah.
So between the fact that he was posting images after the homicide, depicting at least his in memoriam for the two victims in this case, as well as the fact that the call detail records reflected the data was being used on the night of this incident, did you have reason to believe that there were communications or other information relevant to your investigation contained in the Facebook account?
Yes, sir.
At this point, you knew that Mr. Devins had used his Snapchat account to communicate that night.
Yes, sir.
In your training experience, individuals who use one social media platform tend to use multiple social media platforms.
Yes, sir.
And given the fact that the defendant had 3 separate accounts that he appeared to be actively using, does that corroborate what you know from your training experience that he was in fact involved in multiple social media profiles and was using them actively?
Yes, sir.
Honestly, that new prosecutor kind of on point. I'm not being biased here. That new prosecutor has not had a misstep at all. Like, he's on point, dude. There's 2 new prosecutors against Melly now, boys. Like, they're sharp.
So all these things that Mr. Griffiths just said to you, why should you put them in the affidavit?
Because I just feel it was understood.
It's understood.
Yes, sir.
Everything that he just said, he posted it on Facebook, and that because that the Snapchat, that whole beautiful thing that Mr. Griffiths said, just said, that's not in there, is it?
No, sir.
That kind of made him look a little iffy because he said it's just understood. I just assumed. When in affidavits, I get it. Like they're supposed to put as many details as possible, but
The information that I discussed during my initial cross review, all that's contained in your affidavit, including on the last page of the affidavit.
Yes, sir. That's right there at the top. Jamel Demons tagged in the photographs wearing shirts memorialized deceased individuals in this case.
never mind. Apparently, there was a little short summary of how it was connected with the Snapchat and the Facebook.
How could you do that? You had a program or software?
Well, I just used Acrobat Pro. It allowed me to take out 20,000 pages at a time, create its own file, and then I'm able to just basically Control F and filter and just start going through the records.
Or I use keywords in Acrobat or whatever to look through millions of pages. Actually, kind of smart.
And I explained that I should have put a date time frame in it, and I did not, and that was an error on my behalf.
You also referenced that the Instagram account YNW Melly was publicly available, and that multiple images of individuals identified through law enforcement as Jamel Demons were tagged within that account. And given the fact that you put before and after the homicides, it's apparent from the public facing that this account was being utilized before and after the time of the forms.
Yes, sir. They gave us all the cell site data. Every time a cell phone hit on a tower in the sector, they gave us all that. I was looking more for the time in advance, which we didn't get. We got a small portion of it. Exact how much, I can't say for certain, I don't remember.
Why 10-1 as opposed to 9-1, 18? I mean, what's the magic of that date?
I just started, I figured the homicide was 10/26, so I figured let's just go back to the beginning of October.
I don't know why he's so pressed about why he started the date for the warrant for the phone records. Like October 1st seems appropriate for a murder that occurs on October 28th, or was it 26th or 28th? I can't remember.
The IMEI, the International Mobile Equipment Identifier. Yes, the original warrant had the wrong IMEI.
Had the wrong international mobile identifier on it.
It had another IMEI, that's why I had to do a second warrant.
Abbreviation.
IMEI.
IMEI.
It was just, we had the wrong IMEI. It was the right cell phone number, right MC number. It was the right phone we intended. It was just, the original phone that was used in this case, no longer available. When the phone was downloaded, I realized that there was a mistake, and I immediately wrote another warrant with the correct data. And also there's a paragraph in that warrant, I'm sure it's going to be number 11, is what explains the error that I made.
I mean, this lawyer's just doing what he's supposed to do. There's an error and a warrant. Fuck that little error until it makes this detective look dumb.
Do your job correctly and find out that in fact it's a different IMEI number, correct?
I'm not denying that's right. I made a mistake, absolutely.
Okay. And that's so you did not, you're swearing that everything in that affidavit was true, yet you did not do the research to make sure this was true, correct?
No, I felt that I did my due diligence.
But the phone you got was a new phone with a different IMEI number, whatever it is.
Yes, sir. I guess.
So the phone you seized was actually not the phone you were looking for because it did not have the right numbers on it, the right EI number, whatever it is. And it was also a new phone that could not have the saliva or the blood that you were looking for, correct?
Correct. I wrote the warrant.
I know you wrote for it. Who determined what was down at the bottom? What of the material that was downloaded was in fact relevant to the warrant?
I'm not sure if I understand your question. The phone is downloaded, and then I'm the one who reads through that.
You read through the phone?
Yes, sir.
That is based on the original information you got from the call detail records for T-Mobile.
Yes, sir.
You weren't aware that 3 days after the crime, the defendant replaced his phone and got a new phone.
I was not aware of that.
So that's why there was a mix-up with the phones, because Melly got a brand new phone 3 days after the murders. I didn't even know about that throughout the whole first trial. A little strange. I mean, if you're getting a new phone 3 days after that life-changing event that you were a part of, a little suspect to me personally, but you know.
And when you realize that the IMEI changed, is that when you determined the defendant in fact purchased or obtained a new cell phone?
Yes, sir.
The device that the defendant had replaced his phone with, it was the same make and model, it was an iPhone 10.
Correct.
You were asked about going through the records and like for phone calls and through WhatsApp. Calls are made through WhatsApp, those are not reflected in the call log, are they?
No.
So this would be all the data that any phone that Mr. Demings had,
If he had the same iCloud, yes.
it would come into this phone,
If he used the same iCloud on other phones, then yes.
which is the other IMEI number, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that would all come back into this phone.
If he used the same iCloud on both accounts, on both phones.
Did he?
To my understanding, yes.
Ooh, he used the same iCloud on the phone that apparently wasn't his during the murders, and then he bought a new one 3 days later, signed into the same iCloud. That's a red flag.
That device syncs to your cloud account, and any data that you put on your phone, as long as your phone is set up correctly or properly, that data gets backed up to the cloud.
Correct.
So phone numbers, pictures, messages that might have been saved, location services, and I believe it's by default, that gets backed up to your cloud.
Correct.
And then if you were to purchase a new phone, you decide to upgrade, you lose or discard your phone gets broken beyond repair, and you purchase a new phone, when you put in that Apple account ID, the one you said originally, all that backed up data downloads to the new phone. So when Mr. Demons purchased a new phone, any synced data that he had from that phone at the time of the crime would have been essentially downloaded or ported over to this new phone that he acquired.
Correct.
The longer a person is in control of the device before or after, that would suggest that person is in fact most likely in all probabilities the sole user of that device or account.
Correct.
Who actually was using the phone at the time? Still not pending.
Your question is, can I tell who's using the phone at a specific time? Yeah, actually, I think that you can. If you look at who they're talking to, the contents of the conversation, what's being said, what's being done. Yeah, you can, right after the homicide, Mr. Demons was dropped off west of the hospital on Pembroke Road on 178. He is then talking with Frederick Givens, Fredo Payne, that day right after the homicide. You can see other people was calling him.
Oh my god, I forgot that we're gonna have to sit through this trial and deal with Melly's lawyers trying to fight and say that it wasn't his phone again.
I think it was one messaging from his grandmother, Janelle, is your grandmother, are you okay? Stuff like that.
Okay, so when you were swearing that you were Broward Sheriff's Office deputy, that is not true.
Correct.
And he lied about being a Broward County Sheriff's Office deputy. Honestly, I don't think Melly's defense team did the best today. I mean, Moretti looked fine. Yeah, he made a few mistakes with like little things about that IMEI number and a clerical error on warrant. And the trial, if that could get brought up, that could fuck with the jury's heads. But I think this new prosecutor, this guy right here on the left, is like really good. So this is just not looking good for Melly, to be honest. With these two new prosecutors, they know what they're doing. But now they're going to talk about a few things, I guess.
They're probably losing his license to be a law enforcement officer and possibly prosecution. So he has a reason to lie. So therefore you're faced with those facts. Who is telling you the truth? And if you determine that Ms. Boutros is telling you the truth, then you know you were listening to a liar sitting on that witness stand, testifying the entire time in front of you. If you know that Michelle Boutros was telling the truth, you cannot rely on his affidavits, because it's an affidavit of a person that you now know through this case cannot be trusted to tell the truth.
So they're trying to say you can't trust his affidavits because Miss Boutros showed that he's a liar. But Miss Boutros was also a fucking liar, though. She lied about working with Moretti after the incident. With Moretti, she discussed how they saw the power off slider on the iPhone pop up, but then on the stand, she said she didn't see anything. There's a lot of scrutiny about Moretti's tactic, going through all the data that he receives from the phone companies, how he conducted the search warrants with the wireless phone companies and whatnot. Wasn't too interesting today, to be honest, but yeah, I'll keep covering this trial. If you're new to my channel, subscribe, I'm on Instagram. Fucking love you guys. Peace out.